on this episode.
So, I've heard you want to learn how to paint miniatures. But, are you ready to pass the tests that are needed?
So, if you think that last bit was a little ridiculous, I agree. But let me tell you, a couple of years ago, it isn't even that long ago, like 8 years ago, like the hobby wasn't what it is now. If you want to learn how to paint miniatures today, you only need to go into YouTube, type in that, and you will find a bunch of miniature painting tutorials from beginner to master, and you'll find all the information readily available. But back in the day when I was starting to learn this hobby, there wasn't really any information available. Like, you had to go into online forums. Video wasn't really as spread or like as widespread as it is now, so it was hard to find information on how to paint miniatures correctly, and people who knew how to paint miniatures thought they were like the king of the group. Like, they asked for some ridiculous stuff in exchange of just teaching you how to paint correctly. At least that was my experience, and talking with other people from around the world, it was also something similar. And it wasn't until I actually met a true professional painter, someone who had worked on special effects at movies and had sculpting experience, like an actual artist. It was until then that I was able to actually learn how to paint miniatures. Now, I don't consider myself a professional or a master or anything like that. However, that experience completely changed the way I paint miniatures and allowed me to develop like this particular way that I paint minis. Because not only I met him, I met a lot of other artists that enriched my journey. So, I'm not gonna ask you for anything to teach you these secrets. More than that, what I want you to understand is that these techniques or things that I will talk about in this video are really basic stuff that are almost as secrets, because nobody else is talking about them really that I have found on the internet. And they're super basic techniques, things, or like principles that you need to learn if you wanna paint miniatures decently. If you don't really care about how your miniatures look, then this is not the video for you, to be honest. But if you want to get your basics right, even for just wargaming, because that's what I'm all about, wargaming, getting nice looking miniatures on the table for a good wargame experience. If you care about that, then please stay with me, and I hope you enjoyed this video.
War Gamers. Selecting the brushes.
Now, the first lesson that I truly learned from my ancient masters was how to select brushes and how to do it while saving some money, really. As in many things, quality and price are not really correlated when it comes to brushes. And well, the first decision that you will have to make is, are you gonna get natural hair brushes or synthetic hair brushes? Now, both of them have advantages and disadvantages. The ones that I'm holding there are the ones that I used for my previous video, and the three of them are super cheap brushes that, well, you saw the result, got me pretty decent results, and none of them costed me more than 50 cents. The two white ones are from horsehair, and I like them because of that. They're still natural hair, even though it's low quality natural hair. And well, the dry brush one, I don't think it's natural. It's super synthetic, and I just cut it to size. So I will show you like what are the qualities that are important when selecting brushes. Now, something that is really necessary is for you to test the spring that the brush has. How long does it take to return to its natural form? And there you see it. That's a synthetic hairbrush, and it's very springy. That's one of the main advantages that synthetic hairbrushes have. You pretty much, if you get them from a decent source, you are pretty much guaranteed that they will have a good spring, and they are super cheap. The one that I'm holding right now, it's from Warlord Games, and it has a funny feature. You change only the tips when you're changing it, and it's metal. It's a metal holder. So I'm a brush biter. I have bitten through some brushes while I'm painting, so I liked it because of that. I recommend it, but it's still synthetic. And like the worst natural hair brush for me is better than an expensive synthetic brush. However, synthetic hair brushes are super cheap if you know how to get them or where to get them. So that is one of the main advantages. They will not last as long as the natural hair brushes. Even if you take care of them, they will never last as long. The reason this cheap one, this horsehair one, has lasted me so long is because it's natural hair. I know how to take care of natural hair brushes, or at least I think I do. This one has lasted me for like 4 months, and I've used it regularly. That's a better quality natural hair one. And what I'm showing you there, it's that the springiness is not as evident on the natural hair ones, but it's still there. You can go to your local Hobby Lobby or your natural craft store, your artistic store, and most of those stores allow you to check the brushes. Go to the natural hair section, that's also a natural hair one, and find brushes that are around $1-2 and test them. Look at them, see how springy they are, and basically try to get a good one that you can get for cheap. Find 10 of those. Most of those stores have like hundreds of them in the bucket. So try to find one like that and go with it. Now, another advantage of natural hair brushes is that you can apply some hair gel, the one that you have always used, or the one that you can use for literally your hair, and recover their tips with that. You don't have to use much, just literally a drop will do. And what you are trying to do is literally comb your brush so that it will keep its shape for a while, let it rest for a while, and since it's natural hair, it will stay that way. It will learn to hold that way, the same way your hair learns to stay a certain way if you keep it in the same position for a long time. Now, another tip that I have for you, another teaching from the ancient masters, is how to clean your brushes. Now, usually people just have a water cup near them, and it's just the water cup. I don't do that. I usually place a sponge, a regular old packing sponge, or the ones that come with the miniatures, and I do a cross cut on the center. And I literally drop that in the water, and you can see there are bubbles forming inside the water. I add a drop of hand soap, the one for your hands, the one with the one that you use to wash your hands, and I keep that in the water all the time. When I'm cleaning the brush, I place it inside the crosscut that I made on the sponge, and literally try to remove all the paint residue from the brush. That will keep the paint from drying like close to the metal thingy. I don't remember the technical name right now. And that will prevent the brush from opening up. So That's a really good advice that I took from an actual pro painter, an actual watercolor painter, and it has served me so well. I don't use any special soap. There are some hobby soaps. I don't use any of those. So that has worked for me. Oh, and another important thing, store your brushes upside down when they're drying. It's a really important thing to prevent the paint from drying close to the metal thingy.
Practicing your brush control.
And once again, having said all that, another good tip, you saw a little bit of this on the previous video. If you haven't watched it, watch it. It's my first video. Give me feedback. And well, if you haven't watched it, I pulled up a white sheet while I was painting. And this is in general good advice to practice your hand motions and a little bit your motor skills, especially when you're trying to do like a new technique. In this case, you're actually seeing me test the brush, try to see that it matches what I need. And what I'm going to do there is practice a technique called feathering, or at least that's how I know it. A friend of mine needed a wolf and I wanted to do fur on it, but I wanted a striking appearance on it. And so I tested some brushes, I started thinking about it, and in the end I started practicing with some white sheets whenever I had some free time. So there you can see me just practicing my hand motions, the technique, and this was a good way to build up some confidence before I actually started on the miniature, and just getting a flow of the technique. And basically this is that, just practicing my hand motions and the way I hold the brush, the way I have control over it, more than anything else. I don't recommend you to do it like constantly or more than constantly, like spending a long time on it. Just to spend 5 minutes practicing on a white sheet of paper before you actually go to your miniature, and that will increase your confidence. In the end, that was the result. I'm not sure if you want a full tutorial on that wolf, but I really think I achieved what I wanted, which was giving my friend a striking miniature that was very different from whatever else I had painted for him. And I don't know, you be the judge. The 4 gave off a better effect, and I really liked it.
Next week, we paint for liberty. We paint for democracy. How to hold it together.
So the next important step that will actually help you paint better, it's the use of handles. I recommend that you use a handle, even though there's many pro painters who don't use one. I have learned that for most aspiring painters, it will dramatically improve their brush control, and well, it will allow them to actually paint what they're trying to paint, as long as they apply it like the rest of the teachings that I have transmitted to you, as they were transmitted to me by the old masters. So if you load the brush just by the tip, if you apply it very carefully, if you wash your brush in clean water constantly, and you hold your miniature correctly, you will actually be able to get to places that are difficult with much easier, with more ease, basically. So you will be able to manipulate it correctly. Now, the bottle cap that I'm using, it's a milk cap. It's the best holder that I've found, and really you can use anything. You can also use like pill bottles. I have seen people use old Tamiya bottles, the ones for enamels, stuff like that. Now, the reason that I love this one is because I can manipulate the miniature however I can. And the next step for this is many people teach that you should support your brush hand on your left wrist. At least that in my case, right? Because I paint with my right hand. So a lot of people teach that, but not a lot of people talk about your fingers. So the reason I use my fingers and I love just using the bottle cap is because they allow me to have the three remaining fingers free, so I can use them for support. I can use my finger to get a good grip on my other hand and actually stop the shaking. My hands actually shake very much, and it's a common issue a lot of people's hands do, especially if like they work construction, stuff like that. After a long day, your hands will be shaky. So this technique, using your own fingers as support, will help you so much with that. And also, a common issue that I see is that a lot of people grip their brush super hard, and that is also why I don't recommend using your brush as if you're writing. I don't recommend it because a lot of people are used to writing very gripping the pen or whatever they're using really hard, and you need some nimbleness. You need to practice just painting like with your fingers, or allowing the hand to make more relaxed motions. That will improve your brush control dramatically. And just drawing a little bit, as we talked about in the last section, drawing a little bit on a white sheet of paper, using more relaxed motions instead of like the hard and mechanical motions that a lot of people have when they're writing, will allow you to actually have better brush control, get better results. And if you learn how to use like the ninjutsu hands, using your fingers to support your offhand, you will be better off. So there are many holders in the market. I don't use any commercial holder. For example, there is like a holder that GW does, which I found the base to be too thick, and it actually gets in the way of my painting style. There's also some bigger ones that have like a protuberance on the top where the protuberance is supposedly used to support your fingers. I hate those. I absolutely despise them because they get in the way of my painting style, where I constantly use my fingers to support my painting. For example, sometimes I cup the miniature like this so I can get to like the face or super extra tiny details, and I get that miniature really close to my face. And those protuberance, those big bases, those extra things that commercial holders have, get in the way of my painting style. Now I know that may not be for everyone, but I've seen that for most people that practice this, they improve a lot. And of course, it's frustrating for some at the beginning. At the beginning, I just recommend you to use your little finger to support your brush, and we'll basically try it that way. See if it works for you.
How to use everything.
And well, this last part is really just a proof of concept. I just want to show you how I implement all the teachings from the old masters, right? Painting the Starship Trooper that I was showing at the beginning. As I've said, the full tutorial for the Starship Trooper is going to be available when this video goes up. It's going to be in the description and at the end of this. I was going to add it to this part, like the full tutorial. But a common feedback that I got from my last video was that it was too long, so I don't want to make this as long as the previous one or longer. So I removed that. You can see the full tutorial, and maybe you're just interested in that in the tutorial for the Starship Trooper. So you can see that in the description. And well, this was just the process that I used. You can see that I'm not using any fancy techniques, any fancy painting. I'm just using a mixture of Barbarian Flesh by Army Painter. First, as a layer, just as a base layer, I did that. Then I started to mix the skeleton bone from Army Painter as well with the Barbarian Flesh to get some lighter tones out of it. And obviously using the diluting technique that we learned at the last video. And well, basically I just did that, adding highlights to the face. And I also try to keep this footage as natural as possible. I didn't sped it up, I didn't do anything fancy, just because I wanted you to see that really using these techniques you can learn to paint fast or faster, because you're gonna make less mistakes, you're gonna paint more carefully, and in the end you will improve your painting and have better results in your miniatures even without spending too much time on them. I painted this face in about 5 minutes. Now granted, I have a lot of practice, I have used these techniques for a while now, but really I see a lot of techniques on the internet trying to like reinvent the wheel, teaching you a bunch of methods that seem like shortcuts, like right now it seem like shortcuts, but they prevent you from learning correct techniques, actually improving your painting style, and getting better results down the line. So you're sacrificing better results in the future for just a fast work, which is not bad, to be honest, but you gotta know that you're doing that. You gotta know that maybe you need that shortcut because you have a tournament coming up, you forgot, or you tested your list and realized that you needed another unit, so you need to have that ASAP. But if you have the time, if you want better looking miniatures than the slab chop can bring you, or like a regular dry brush can give you, you need to learn other techniques. And for example, you can see that on the face I didn't use a dry brush, I used the old regular highlighting, mixing slightly first the Barbarian Flesh with the skeleton bone to create the first highlight, painting the eyes carefully using the same cheap horsehair brush that I showed you at the beginning, just very carefully applying the white on the eyes, supporting my fingers on my other hand so I can get to the tiny detail on the miniature. And just like that. Now some mistakes were made, I need to correct those. I go back to the Barbarian Flesh to correct those mistakes. After that I'm just gonna paint the black on the eyes for the miniature. Again, correct any mistakes that happened. I usually contour around the eyes after I applied the black. So usually I do a white, I contour the eyes, I do the black, and if any mistakes happen during that step, I again add some contouring paint with the base layer that I used. Then I mix the base layer with a little highlight, in this case a skeleton bone. So I just do that, and after that I apply a second lighter highlight on the face, and that's basically the process this follows. It's nothing fancy, it's nothing really that is beyond your capabilities if you just practice the techniques that I'm showing you. And right there, I apologize if the footage can be a bit boring, but I wanted to prove the point that this can be done really fast and easily, like just practicing. Really, this is just technique, there's no fancy anything here. Just straight up old school paint, an old school palette, some exercises that I made, a diluted paint, and really that's just it. That's gonna be the end. You're gonna see the finished result, as I said in the full tutorial. And well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I see you soon at the tables.